Um, but I do want to deal with our relationship as black male female relation, and how do we strengthen that?
Hey, we're live now.
We're like, okay. Good morning, everybody. It's good to have everybody here with Clemson Brown reporting. Um, it's wonderful to have so many sisters on this panel and to get their insight and their guidance. And I take the word guidance and underline it, because without the recognition of the Black woman in the Black family, there is no Black family. Um, my sister was my guardian angel coming up. She's the first person that took me to school when I was 6 years old, and I had a fight the first day for no reason at all. Uh, One of the girls just walked up and smacked me off of the top steps of Carver High School. And I saw, first time I ever saw stars in my life. And when I woke up, when I opened my eyes, I saw my sister in battle with two other girls uh, to protect me. And so that was the way my relationship in school began, with her as my protector, because I lived in a community where you had to really fight to establish the pecking order. And since I had been knocked off them steps, the pecking order started with me. If you couldn't beat me, you was on the least of the pecking order. So it was me and my sister. She was my protector, and we grew up very close, and I learned so much from her. And when we became adults, um, the table switched, and I became more or less the protector of her and her family. All of her children became my children because um, I don't know, Ella just couldn't seem to find the right man. She was married 3 times and had 9 children, and I made it my duty to protect them and to give them what they needed and to be there. So her children grew up as my sons and daughters, uh, because I was always there. And to this very day, they're still my sons and daughters. And I just grew up in a family that had a very close relationship. I throw that out there because um, we don't we don't seem to have as close relationships in our families as we did. Is everybody here? I only see you and I. Oh, okay. All right. So we don't seem to be as close today as we were, um, say, from after slavery to now. So I'm asking you to give us your impression of what happened to the Black family. How was it then, and how is it now? As you see it, I have studied it, and your comments on it.
Okay. How's everyone doing? Good morning, good evening, wherever you all are when you watch this. I'm the goddess Neath Knight, and I would say thank you, Baba Clemson, for that question. I would say from what I've studied thus far, I think it's the effects of residual trauma that are not and have not been really looked at, written down, itemized, getting a list. when you tell me about your sister, it's funny when, you telling us about the story, because I think similar to my sister as well. She was also my protector. And even to this day, if anything happens, she definitely has my back. And then over her life, she has been someone who has maintained positions of authority. And it's definitely one of those Black women that is going to be in your corner and can provide and protect for you. But what's also interesting about your story from high school is that you were just sitting on the porch minding your business, and out of nowhere, someone thought it was okay to slap you, and a fight ensued.
That was elementary school.
Elementary. You said Cartridge, or what was the school name?
Carver High School. That's where you get to high school. It was named Carver High School, but everybody went. The whole Black community went there. There was no elementary, and there was one school that everybody went to. This is 1944.
Okay. Thank you for that. Okay. So in this elementary school, you're just minding your business essentially, and then this girl out of nowhere slaps you, a fight ensues, and it leaves an impression on you. If we could be honest, this is a traumatic response. Even feeling like assaulting someone or hitting someone is okay, but this is what I mean when I say residual trauma that has not been looked at, has not been studied, has not been written down. Right now, I'm in a really, really big point in my research journey, learning experience, learning as an individual of CPTSD, and I've been resorting a lot of books. A lot of our previous ancestors, Ashe to the ancestor Nana Okeswa. I was listening to Dr. Patricia Newton maybe just about 2 weeks ago speak about effects of trauma, maybe that have happened in your personal life, maybe molestation, maybe rape, maybe just growing up in all types of adverse, traumatic experiences, childhoods, households. And then you have racism on top of that to metastasize the issue. And after a while, you have us as Black people that learn to adapt these maladaptive practices, things that we do to self-habilitate, to rehabilitate ourselves, and even chronic lateness to events, not having a proper perspective on time to be able to handle yourself accordingly and get to another place on time. This may seem like something really small, but it's major. And when you speak about your sister going off to be married, have, children that are now still your children and your nieces and nephews as well, but not being able to maintain a long-term relationship with a spouse. This is not only her, this is many of our mothers, this is many of our aunts, this is many of us, perhaps maybe being married once and remarried, or even possibly trying to go through the waves and the adjustments of marriage now and not really understanding how we hit these barriers. And like you say, 60-year marriage now seems like everybody just wants to switch it out. If we really start to look at these things, these are results of PTSD. And, not wanting to bring up slavery, because for many of us, it's a trigger word, like, oh, we don't want to bring up slavery and how all this stuff is related to our behavior. But even leaving out that poor stain on our history that doesn't determine who we are, adding on top of that Jim Crow, what we currently experience, even the things that we're experiencing in 2021, hell, COVID, Dr. Catherine just mentioned it, just being in an environment where you can't go anywhere, you don't have anyone. All of these things, I feel like when they add up together, do create this tension that we carry, this angry edge. And after a while, it just gets down to the point that we can't even adapt a proper relationship with one another. When we come into contact, there might be ego, there might be, frustration. There's so many different things. But ultimately, to answer your question, I feel like how we've gotten here is because we have not been able to look at ourselves and self-diagnose what is happening to us individually. Write it down, get an idea of how we can, who we are, and then from who we are, gather a plan on what must we do or what must we change to become the healthy individuals, and hopefully get that 60-year marriage that you manifest in, get back to those things.
Thank you. Brother Omar Wali, you want to make a comment?
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're doing well.
Yeah.
We can only see one person. I want to see everybody.
Likewise. I don't need to be up here by myself.
Thank you.
Yo, we got I got you with the map, with the flag too. Okay, we in here. So how are you guys doing? I must apologize. I don't know if we did introductions or because I just now tapped in.
No, you just not tapped in. We did not do introductions, so we can do them now, so we all know who we are with. So let me start with you.
Okay. Oh, dang, we got all these sisters and queens, and we starting with me. Okay. So, all right. My name is, as you see on there, I'm Ole Asafo. My birth name is Zach. Also, my Instagram right there is the Black Academic. My brother over there, Jalen, the Hood Pharmacist, and I, we run a book club called Unlocked TBC. It could be the book club or the Black curriculum, however you want to put it. And we essentially, we're trying to follow your footsteps, Honorable Minister Clemson Brown, because we want to be able to get information out to people so that we can all start being on the same page, so that we're not 70 years old still talking about no justice, no peace. And we want to try to bridge these intergenerational gaps together. And I'm an educator at Montessori. It's a 99% Black Montessori. It's called Kalima Montessori. We're also in a Discord. We're connecting with many other like-minded people. It's called Kush Kemet, where we're all trying to become the innovators and engineers of the future that we actually want to see. We see people always talk about self-determination and having sovereignty over our futures and our life. Well, we understand that 30's coming up soon, and we want to be one of those people that still has those revolutionary spirits, even after that spiritual solar return on that 30-year mark. So, I hope I didn't say too much, but I'm blessed and thankful to be here.
No, that's great. Sister Little, Alex?
Peace, Brother Clemson. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fine.
Hello to every goddess on the panel. Nice to meet you all. My name is Alex Littlejohn. I go by Alex Little on YouTube. I'm just happy part of this dialogue. I think it's necessary. Now working in the mental clinical health sector, I get to work one-on-one with patients. And there's a lot going on. We need to talk about these things, especially in the Black church community and the black church sector. So we're not talking about domestic violence. We're not talking about abortion. We're not talking about drug abuse. We're not talking about divorce and just different scenarios that play in community. Just like the sister Nee said, we're not unpacking this trauma, these adverse childhood effects. And I think this is going to be a really heavy topic today. So let's slide away and say greetings to everyone in chat, and peace and blessings.
Let me ask you a question before you go. How do you feel about the Black male-female relationship? Do you feel it's healthy? Do you feel it's toxic? What would be your impression of how we are in terms of a stable community and stable relationships within that community?
I think we're capable to do anything. I think that when we get on point and unified culturally, economically, politically, there's nothing that can stop us. I think just like this need, you had a wonderful point about the self-diagnosis. There's so much trauma we haven't unpacked, and we don't have the self-awareness at times to look within. We're given a religion, we're given a language, we're given a land, we're taken in strips, so we don't have time to go within and remember who we've always been. So in addition to, civil rights, globalization, and all types of different techniques, slavery is very real. Religion, just different things have been barriers towards that unity and that harmony, the balance that we always have access to. So I think that when we can get on one accord and platforms like this where we can gather and listen to one another and respect one another and utilize everything as a tool for African independence, I think that's the goal. So for me, I know I study Dr. Clark, I study Dr. Ben, I listen to Sarah Suit and Say. It's a lot of fun to listen to. So everyone's going to have their own time where they awake and arise. Right now, where we are, we all have the potential to be greater. We need to trust one another. We need to respect one another. We need to work on our self-pride, our self-dignity, and just really, 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 the cultural standpoint. So I think that I feel that we're not hopeless. I feel that we have everything we need within. We just need to build together in a community on an economic standpoint. We're not seen as 0.5% of the wealth the entire nation. So I feel as though, and the impression that I have is that, there is Black wealth. It's all around. And we need to be mindful of these statistics too, in this Western society. So I just feel that, the more we can talk and be open and be honest and go within and share and trust and love and respect one another, one God, one aim, let's go.
How would you see us bringing that about? That is love and trust and working together.
Yeah, for me, I'm learning to love my own daily. I mean, it's a daily walk. No one just comes here like, oh, okay, here's life. This is what we do. Like, all go through different steps, different journeys, different stages, different phases, different ways. So for me, being a therapist, having had in therapy now for 6 years, I can have those private dialogues with myself and figure out, why am I here? What am I doing? Where am I going? Where have I come from? What is my purpose? How am I benefiting mankind? Am I operating in truth and justice and balance and, you know what I'm saying? So for me, I feel as though we can come to love one another by loving ourselves first and seeing what that would look like. Do the test. Do the Myers-Briggs assessment. Do the DISC assessment. Learn your love languages. And once we can master ourselves and have that self-awareness and that self-exploration, that self-discovery, that self-understanding, that self-love, that self-transformation, that self-mastery, then we can begin to love others better because for us. So just being open, just being honest, being real with ourselves, and dealing with our head on. The truth about the situation is, this happened to me. The truth about the situation is, I'm still here. And deal with things and release them so that we can be sound mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and go forward from there. So really ourselves, working on ourselves, releasing those traumas, and some are subconscious embedded traumas from DNA. So it's just of having awareness and wanting to be on a frequency of love, wanting to be in alignment with our true self and connecting with first.
Thank you.
You're
Sister
welcome.
Pinda, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh.
And I'm going to ask you a different question. What I decided is that if we run through everybody just introducing themselves, we'd probably be through the first hour and not getting into the substance of what we really want to talk about. So what I want to do is to dialogue with each of you as we find out who you are and just mix it up as we go along, because everybody will contribute to understanding where we are and how do we rise to the top of the milk. How do we become the butter in the milk as we go along. So it will be a kind of a broad, in-depth analysis that we all get a chance to speak on. And you can speak on any aspect of it that you feel necessary as you introduce yourself. So, Sister Panda, introduce yourself to us. Talk about yourself a little.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Clemson, for inviting me. I'm Nish Penda. Y'all probably see me around. I'm one of the moderators on TAP. I'm a registered nurse. My background is med-surg and psych. So this was an interesting topic, and the Royal asked me to come and share with some of my views. So I'm here, and this is definitely an interesting topic. The past 3 years, I've done psych, so I've got to, like I said, get a glimpse of good behavior and not so good behavior, and I get to see where our people, a lot of their behaviors come from. And it's like I said, I've done other videos and stuff like this. Our people have been infected with a alien and foreign culture and have fell in love with it, embraced it, and don't want to shake it off. So that's where a lot of our problems, especially in our female and male relationships, come from. We are so removed from our African self and our spirituality. We are engaging each other as chocolate covered white people, and we can't do that anymore, and we suffer from it, and our relationships have suffered. Black people don't even want to acknowledge that war has been declared on us, and every means that the enemy has to use against us to keep us apart, they use it. And we don't have critical thinking anymore, and have basically been turned into children, and a lot of us just don't get that. And I see it, the bad behaviors from others that are not us has been infected in our people, and we just don't see it, and we just go along. And it has, like I tell the people, if you want to see it, check your behavior. When you do something, who does it benefit? Does it benefit us as a whole, or does it benefit somebody else? And our people don't sit back and think like that. Your behavior, we have a lot of anti-Black behavior that has been drilled into us since after slavery. And we haven't broke the chains of it, and we keep doing different variations of it. And the one you see now is the most current version of it. And now it's, like they say, international, is worldwide. People get to see all kind of nonsense behavior that doesn't benefit us as a whole, and we keep doing it. So that's the interesting thing I at least get to see as a nurse, because I've worked as a contract nurse, so I get to travel. I've traveled different places and worked in different settings, and I get to see how we interact with each other, and I get to see all the workings of people who act against their self-interest all the time and don't recognize it.
Let me throw this in the mix. I've been looking at black soldiers from the Civil War. It was black soldiers that captured the headquarters of the Confederacy, Richmond, Virginia, and it was black soldiers that captured Robert E. Lee, even though they Robert E. Lee didn't want to give up to black soldiers, and they waited for the Union General to come down. You never see that in Lincoln, but there were black soldiers at Appomattox that confronted him, captured him, and turned him over to the Journal of the North. And I've been looking at pictures. I mean, lines and lines of black soldiers, and they were dark. Almost all of them dark in complexion. They looked like more like the blackest of the members of our family. And I'm looking at this array of beautiful complexions that we have in our sisters, but that came because of rape for the most part. But after the Civil War, it was not just rape, but it was programs that were more or less put in place to bring about the condition that you just spoke about, Sister Panda, where almost everything we do is to promote our whiteness. Almost everything. I was looking the other day at this new program on homosexual, this black homosexual. They're giving him like a daily program, a weekly program. But they did a long interview with him, and he's, they interview him how difficult was it for him to get the role and all that. But he is propagating homosexuality, and that will definitely impact our young boys and confuse them about their role as a man. We need, I mean, I could be taken off the air for saying this, but we need black men. And you can criticize black men, but if you criticize black homosexuality, you are committing a crime, and they might lock your ass up for it. So uh, I really don't want to be taken off the air, but we got to talk about what's really affecting. To have programs like this and seeing everything is to destroy black manhood. That's, we are the lion, and our sisters are the lioness. And if you know the story of the lion and the lioness, um, the hyena is the natural enemy of the lion, and the hyena will take out the lioness. He will kill her, uh, and the hyena has a structure where the female leads, and so it takes them years to grow leadership within the hyena clan, the hyenas, um, so that uh, when the hyenas come upon a female lion, they can kill her, and they will kill her. But the brother, the lion, his roar can be heard and felt seismically in the ground for 7 miles. And when he roars, everybody gets in the wind. The hyenas get in the wind at 100 miles an hour because they got to get away, because they know that the lion is going to go for the female leader of the hyenas, because she's the most dangerous and she's the one who can kill the female in the lion. And when he catches her, and he will, uh, he snaps her neck and takes her off the planet first, so that the brothers who understand, who are brothers, that they are uh, the lion of the race. He must be subdued and he must be stopped. So you have prisons producing homosexuals. You produce coming, and we have so many brothers. I think it's 25% of the black population is under the control in a relationship with the criminal justice system to one degree or another. If they're not in jail, they're on probation, etc. So the whole thing is to cut the head off of the black male, which is the warrior class of the black community. So we have to factor that in. And then you look at these commercials that come on. And the only commercial I see where two black men are kissing all day long, and that's because they play that commercial all day long, like it's some kind of privilege to be homosexual. But you don't have the white boy who is homosexual kissing each other all day long. Uh, but you do with the brother. So everything is to demean and attack the black masculinity, because that serves the same purpose as capitating them. Because two men cannot bring a family. Two men cannot have children. And so if you're not having children, you're not continuing the race. You essentially defeated. So I just wanted to throw it out there because I think it's serious enough that we need to look at what's happening, because these are the people who teach our children, and these are the images that's being set up in the community to bring about the next generation. So I'm just throwing that out there, and I want the sisters to comment on black male, what do they see as a black male who they want to marry, or who they want to see in leadership positions, and how they feel that that can be brought about. Let me say this, that oh, what was her name? I can't think of her name right now, but she was a slave, and the white boy bought her for sexual purposes, and she came to the plantation, but she fell in love with a brother, and she resented the white man even touching her, and she told the brother her resentment, but the brother was afraid to kill the white man or to do anything about it, so he didn't. But she so resented him taking advantage of her and raping her at his will that she killed him. And there, it became a international situation where people all over the world supported her. And she went to trial, but the judge found her guilty because he said that she was the property of the white man, and the white man who raped her owned her, and she had no say so over her body. And so they found her guilty and they hung her. And this kind of situation goes on today. That's why Tawana Brawley could not be found innocent, because that is still good law. A black woman has no rights when it comes to her body that a white man has to obey. Same thing with a black man. Same law was passed. A white man has is not obligated to obey any law referring to a black man. So even though these things are submerged, they're still built into the fabric of white supremacy. So I've taken up a lot of time, but I want to get back to you. Sister Knight?
Yes, sir. What you're referring to is definitely something that we see, like, still, Sister Penda, man, what you are talking about as far as what you see in nursing, I think it's interesting. I worked in a prison for 5 years, and just introducing myself. I'm Neith Knight. I have a platform by the name of The Blackest Truth. I talk about the not so easy topic of racism, white supremacy, and I essentially talk about how homosexuality, what Baba Clemson is talking about, is a form of genetic annihilation on Black people. I discuss how the Black woman not being able to be in a healthy relationship with Black men is also another form of genetic annihilation, and I study the 10 areas of people activity given to us by Dr. Francis Chris Wilson and Neely Fuller. So, and essentially anything in media that is possibly pertaining to that, I'll most likely do coverage on it and connect how it's working. So when you talk about, and it's real, I even had a playlist about the LGBTQ agenda, and I haven't even added another video to it out of fear that the YouTube channel will possibly, be affected by it, because it is seeming like an issue. You can't even speak transparently about the effects that it can have on our communal procreation and us being able to have children without fear of one being ostracized, labeled homophobic, and then having things taken away from you. But all in all, it's what we've kind of like already talked about, already discussed. We know the type of world that we live in. and some resources. Baba Clemson, you're asking that, what can we do? I think some resources that we can utilize are people who are already doing this. You have a lot of Black therapists like Sister Little. You have a lot of resources on YouTube. YouTube University is now really my TV as far as anything that I don't know, from the most simplest of things to the most drastic of things. I think we could just utilize a lot of the resources that we already have on board. A lot of the books that many of us might have on a shelf but never have opened, or might have only read 2 chapters of the book, we can complete those things. But ultimately, I think we would all do ourselves a big justice by showing each other a little more grace and showing ourselves a little more grace. You have many of us that beat on ourselves about not being where we need to be, and not being where we need to be as a community, not being able to have healthy relationships. But in all honesty, we just don't know how to do it currently. Like, it's in a real way, we just don't know how it looks. So I just encourage all of us to show each other grace, show each other love when we're interacting with one another, and then show yourself love, show yourself grace, and go through the process, and come places like here and we're gonna learn.
Thank you. Brother Geiger, are you there? Brother Geiger?
Sir.
Yeah, because you call yourself Brother Geiger, I'm going to ask you why.
Well, I'm a student at Tapvideo Institute, the intellectual home of Professor Gabriel Aldo Oyibo, the greatest mathematician on earth. And I know you have several videos of his on your platform. It's a pleasure for me to be here representing Tapvideo Institute. I was just on the phone with Professor Oyibo maybe an hour ago. And we're awakening the Black mathematicians, the next generation of Black mathematicians. We're awakening those sleeping geniuses that are amongst all of us in this room, in this digital room. This is something that's always been something that we've always been at the forefront of. We've always been the leaders of mathematics and technology. We've always had this under our belt, especially our women. And it's a pleasure to see all of the beautiful women in here today, because this is something that women actually are credited for recognizing the patterns in nature and giving us the system of mathematics. It's actually something that's inherently and archaeologically proven to be something that women have enlightened us with. And mathematics is the study, but math itself is not something that's invented. Math is something that's revealed and discovered. God revealed mathematics to man, or to women, to mankind. That is something that is a universal truth. It's consistent throughout the universe. Math is shapes, distances, numbers, and how those numbers interact. When you look up at the sky in the daytime, you see a sun. It's a circle. That's 360 degrees. You got radius, you got pi, you got phi, you got all of these mathematical constants that just comes out of that one heavenly body that man does not control, man did not create, man has no jurisdiction over it. So for us at Tapvideo Institute, we understand that for the holy grail of mathematics, which is Gaga, to be revealed to a Black man, to be revealed to the Black race, this is God acknowledging that Black people are the chosen people, that we are members of the most intelligent, richest, and most undefeatable people on the planet.
Hey, thank you, man. You know, I represented Professor Oyibo. I was a videographer, the official videographer for his peer review in Nigeria. Everything you said is true. And when you are being elevated, the creator journey blesses you to present something to the world that gets the attention of the whole world, like the pyramids, for example. The pyramids, everybody in the world wants to know how the pyramids were built. Everybody in the world every race wants to claim the pyramids as theirs, because whoever can claim the pyramid sits at the top of human intellectual uh, of the human intellectual gift, which is mathematics, which is the language of the universe. And to be able to express that language, which is what the peer review was about that professor did in Nigeria. And so when you speak him, I'm just glad to meet you because I spent so much time with Professor Ebo, and that is the kind of work that now uh, has to get the attention of the world
Yes.
because that's what we need as a people to reshape our image. People treat you as they conceive you to be. So if they conceive you to have contributed nothing to civilization, that's the way they're gonna treat you. They're gonna treat you like you, the footstool of humanity. But if they see you as having been the true builders of the pyramids, and now the gift that the Creator has brought to the human race, the equation for the unified field theory. It's the big thing that we need, and that's why in my book I close it out with Professor Oevo. So, I just wanted to add that to what you were saying, and Sister Moshe. It's good to see you, sister. Let's find out a little about you and hear your comments. Sister Moshe.
Oh,
Hello.
yes. Greetings, everyone. First, let me give thanks to my sister, Alex Little, who actually invited me. I'm Yes, Alex Little. She was the one who invited me. And so I appreciate the universe and all the hosts thereof ordaining my steps to be here collectively. I'm grateful to be in the presence of open minds with a kindred spirit, to make change, to make awareness, to be open for solutions. I give thanks that this platform, we have maybe a small beginnings, but we not be weary of small beginnings because all it takes is one seed to produce a tree that can bear many a fruit. I'm not into anybody's religion because I actually was at home minding my own business. I wasn't thinking about no God. I wasn't looking for no God. And I definitely wasn't living for no God. And the divine spirit, the ancestors, came to me. And I'm grateful. And the things that they have downloaded and manifested through me, because we all have ancestral DNA with a divine purpose and an agenda. Because we are the originators, we are being awakened to expose and dispose of the falsified duplicator. So, with everything that we have experienced, it's definitely the time that we recognize if you're foolish, it is now time to become wise. And if you're immature, it's definitely time to become mature because this is no game. We are on a stage, and many may take it as a game, but to lose your life foolishly simply because of ignorance, and there's so much information available, we have to come to the conclusion that everyone is not going to be in alignment. And all it takes is that remnant to come together. Because if it takes only, according to some religions, one to bring sin into the world, and they point that finger at the woman as being the culprit of man's fall. If it take a woman to bring sin into the world, the ancestors told me that it's going to take a woman to take it out. Now, a lot of people may have a misunderstanding of the significance and the relevance of the woman and her power, but the divine spirit that is communicating with me, for me to deliver a message, it is about the divine feminine and the divine masculine energy. And we must be able to first recognize that both of those are within, but to have a specific role that you're going to be uphold, that is going to be the strengthening and the empowerment of your position. You must be able to take notice of that reproduction organ. And if it came in here perfect, it's supposed to remain perfect. So I have a lot to say about this gender altercations, that, what the enemy has plans to do, and that we have to be awakened and take notice of. But we definitely have to walk as we learn and learn as we walk, because we have plenty of time before this time to read books. It's all about action now. And as far as a historical perspective in reference to where I come from, I was born in San Diego, California. I moved here from the Virgin Islands. I used to be an electrician, and I used to be a dancer, from one extreme to the other, dancer by day and stripper at night. The ancestors allowed me to live a rough life. And because in order to give a testimony, you have to have a testimony. You have to be able to be approachable to the very ones at the bottom, because if the first are going to be last, then who's speaking to the last who's about ready to become first? And we must be able to recognize it's not about your current position, but about the position and the exaltation of a people, of where their experiences can actually lead us. Because most of your power is definitely on the backs and the shoulders of those who have been oppressed and suppressed the greatest. So I've had a radio station called, it was the Lioness, Mama. Most people know me as Mama Lioness, Hadassah, and I was on radio for about a year on 1100 a.m. in Atlanta, Georgia. I was also on community TV, and I had my own program called Wisdom Speaks. So I'm just here right now, and I'm listening, and wherever I can fit in and contribute to the enlightenment of us being able to advance and move forward and make some things happen, and let every youth know that old age and gray hair is not what gives you wisdom. Wisdom is through experience. If you learn something and you apply it and you multiply it and be able to teach and learn from yourself, then you're going to be an example to someone else. And I am 58 years old and I have gray hair, but I would never allow anyone to think that you have to reach a certain age to be able to exercise your birthright of wisdom. Because in all of us, there's a child, and there's a growing adult, and then there's a seasoned. But like me, I have an inner child, I have a lady, and I have a lioness. The lioness protects all three. The lady is the intellectual between you and me. And the child is the most important, because that's the one that needs to be protected. That once we get into the reestablishment of the order of the divine matrilineal society, then we're going to recognize how we treat ourselves and the knowledge that we bring and what we lay down as a foundation is about the youth. But you can't have a village without the elders. So with that, I'm complete.
Thank you so much. Brother Julian, the the writing is so small. I'm finding it hard to really see.
Brother
But
Clemson, let
Julie,
me jump in right now because she goes into my topic. So it'll be a nice segue for what Mama Hadassah just finished at.
okay, let's do that.
Okay. So I'm Dr. Evandra Catherine, and the work that I do is very unique to the scholarly field these days. I focus on early childhood, birth to 8. So when Mama Hadassah brought up the youth, it was very much so going into the space that I work in daily. And so to her point, the work that I do is to bring awareness to how these racial traumas that we experience happens at birth. It happens before the child leaves the womb, because the experiences that the mother is experiencing, that child is experiencing before that child gets here. And so the work that I do is to catch it as early as possible. So got to start with them in the womb and when they come out. And the work that I focused on specifically, my dissertation was to train or coach preschool teachers how to be emotionally supportive to Black boys. That was literally what my dissertation focused on. It's what my work focuses on daily to every day, is the emotional development of Black children. Emotional development. Society wants us to say social and emotional learning, but social is the comply part. And so we don't need our Black children to be always everything in education to focus on comply, which is the social component. So that if you tend to the emotional component, you're able to attend to all of these things that we're talking about, but at a young, very young age, all the way through their life cycle. But what happens is along the way that there are so many things as a child gets older where you can't get those as support. So social and emotional and mental health supports. And so how the United States is set up right now, the government has put all its money in early childhood. And the Biden administration just passed the package, you guys know, but it's the largest amount of money that's ever been put into early childhood. And so it's extremely important that we as Black people understand and make sure that these dollars are going to our community, because we cannot move forward if we continue to leave the youth out. And I'm going down to the babies. I'm talking about, you've heard of the school to prison pipeline, where there's a preschool to prison pipeline. It starts early. Preschool age Black boys are suspended or expelled from school at a higher rate than a high school Black boy. Okay. If they kick them out before they get to kindergarten, that school, that pipeline, the mass incarceration, the prison industrial complex, they've got to get them earlier now. They're not having enough. If you get them early enough now, you get more years on a life sentence than catching them at 20 and giving them life. You only getting 40 years, if that, out of them. They need more years of labor, so they must start earlier. And so the typical 16 to 20-year-old Black male ain't the target no more. It's the 3 and 4-year-old Black male that's the target right now. And what that has to play a role into the family is that our mothers are not protected. And by our mothers not being protected, our children are not being protected. But we know that our men are there's like war against our men. And so how do we, with the family structure that we have, because we need to act now, today, with the family structure that we have, how do we support mothers raise Black children? How do we ensure that these Black children are being talked to, that they have vocabulary, that they are literate? These are some of the most simple things that we don't allow our children to feel. Stop crying. Don't do that. Be a man. Go take care of your sister. It's never an opportunity to be a child. And so the work that I focus on is that. And I want to just share something on the Black family into a very long perspective of how these things happen. My father was a pimp. My mother was a hoe. Okay. What do y'all think would happen to a child that was born from a pimp and a hoe? First thing, immediately, the community shut my mother out. For one, she had 4 kids, oh my, by 22, and this one's by a pimp. So we as a community made my life right then and there didn't matter. My life didn't matter because my mother was a hoe and she had done these other things, right? So ultimately, the community gave up on me before I was even born. So I was homeless as a child. I was homeless pretty much from age 9 until I was able to leave for the military to where I could have someone help me help myself take care of me. I share that story to say that as a result of that, I had a very traumatic life, but I'm a mother now today. And in order to break that cycle, I literally had to piecemeal different scenarios of experiences of what maybe a parent should do and what a parent might not do. I never was taught, I never had an example when I became a mother. And so I planned my pregnancy. When I planned my pregnancy, I actually planned it with someone who had the same parenting skills as me. We were really good and connected, but I wasn't necessarily sure if I could be with this person. Me, myself could be with this person. So we planned our pregnancy with his family because I didn't have family. And in the event that something would happen between his father and I, my son would go to be with a family. Every day of my life, I have not been able to share the experiences with my own child because I want my child to be raised in a family with a grandmother, with a father, with aunts, uncles, cousins, same last name as him, same body structure as him. You know what I mean? And people say to me, oh, you leave your kid back in Virginia. Well, I don't have nothing to give my child really as his mother. I can't even give him family. Right? I don't have the ability or the capacity to do that. And my son's father has an amazing, very close-knit family. And so I share this experience because we have to break the cycle, right? We have to know where sacrifices must be made. And we have to know what a child needs in order to become a healthy and functioning adult. I am very capable of taking care of my child from a financial, economic, and social position. I am, I'm not in a poor position in life. I have a PhD, but that's all I can give my child is love and monetary things and maybe a few experiences on trips. But what my son loves the most is his grandmother. What he loves the most is his grandmother, okay? The most. That is the number one woman, the number one person in his life right now is his grandmother, his father's mother. And then he shares the same last name with everyone in the household as him, from his grandmother down to his baby cousin. I've never been in a household with someone who shared my last name. It matters. I had to answer questions as a young child that a child shouldn't be answering. Why your last name different? Why y'all ain't got the same skin color? Why your hair nappy, her hair straight? That's not for me. Why you over here on Christmas, but you over there on Christmas? I shouldn't have to answer that type of stuff. And so what I'm saying is what's happening is children are taking on adult responsibilities before they even get here. And they're having to explain things that they have no idea how to explain or how they came about. And so I say for our structure and our family, we have to find out where the cycle has to stop. If the society gave up on me in my mother's womb, I could have given up on myself, and many times I wanted to. But in 2006, I started my undergrad degree in African American Studies and didn't realize the African that I was. I didn't realize the power I was walking around with. I didn't realize the essence and the greatness I came from. I didn't realize these people out here don't like me because I'm the original. And after that moment and that experience, I never looked back to the trauma of before, because the ancestors right here got me all the way here and got me all the way to a PhD and got me all the way to a place where another young child shouldn't be forgotten in their mother's womb because she is a hoe and the daddy is a pimp. That ain't my problem. I didn't ask for that. But what I do ask for is for this village to stop giving up on our children. And I'm going to stop because I'm about to go somewhere. So I'm going to pause right there. Stop.
Thank you, my sister. Brother Julian, are you with us?
Yeah, how you doing? Jalen.
I'm doing fine. Let's hear from you.
Okay, for sure. So I want to just begin by giving my thanks for you and the work that you do here on this platform. I know for me and for my brother Zach, your platform has been a huge way for me and him to connect to these great master teachers that have come before us and really absorb that information. So I want to start off by giving thanks to you, Honorable Minister Clemson Brown, for the work you've done, and it's drastically changed and progressed my mental conscious development. So I recently graduated from the University of Georgia with a degree in African American Studies. And, for me, that came out of a desire to want to communicate my thoughts about race and be able to
No, I gotta cut you off right there, Jalen,
Okay.
because so many people say, what am I gonna do with an African American Studies degree? And HBCUs don't even offer African American Studies at has a degree. So thank you, my brother, for seeing the value in going and getting your undergrad degree in African American Studies, and any other youth that's looking at this program.
Thank you. Thank you. So just the value that it provided me, I am now able to articulate myself when it comes to conversations about race. When I have feelings about race and I want to speak to, maybe a white person or maybe a brother who's not in line with where we need to be, I'm able to, connect with those people. And I just have a better understanding of history. Through studying African American history, I was led to African history. And largely, and your channel was a huge part of that. So what me and my brother Zach do, we have a book club called Unlocked, which you mentioned before, but our slogan is Black liberation through education and putting solutions into actions. So what we do is we read books about history, our African history, our African culture, and we apply those concepts in those books, whether it be concepts or stories, and we apply them to our real life situations today, and how we can use those lessons in those books to propel us forward. So on this conversation, I would say that, in my eyes, and I think this is the actuality of the situation, there is a real war, how everybody is saying, on the Black family. And we can see that through the works of Francis Cress Welsing. Me and Zach are currently reading The Destruction of Black Civilization. We see it through that book. But historically, from what I've seen, they've used race identity to divide us and to also get into our civilizations through amalgamation. And through studying, I've realized how critical the family is for community. So like the family is the base. So if we don't have a strong base, then we can't build a larger, greater community that fulfills our interests. So I realized, a lot of people my age, they don't necessarily want a relationship, or they don't necessarily see the value. And I'm speaking mostly about Black people, and having a relationship, or even from the perspective of Black males don't necessarily see the value, the true value of Black women. And I would say that's because of our westernization. So a lot of Black men, we objectify women. We think of them as only sexual pleasures, or people to bear children and do work around the house, when that's not Black women are much more powerful than that. So through reading a book called Black Skin, White Mask by Frantz Fanon, I was really able to see the effects of how colonization and westernization has led Black women and Black men to seek whiteness through relationships, and how they may use relationships as an entry into the white world. So that's just all a part of the attack on the Black family. There are different institutions, I will say religious institutions, and also school systems that uphold this. Definitely mass incarceration and the police system uphold this system for Black and colonized people across the globe. But I think that Black people, and especially Black men, I speak a lot about Black men. Black men need to see the greater value in the divinity in Black women. And once we can start to do that, we can we can start building powerful relationships with these women. Parenthood in itself is a revolutionary act. So through having a child and raising children, we should be raising children in the vision that we want to see for ourselves for the future. So I think we need to return to our understanding of the importance of the feminine, and to value femininity, because I think right now men are thinking in a very westernized context of masculinity that doesn't really let us see Black women for their true selves. So
but we are too. As a Black woman, I have to say that is just not something the Black man is dealing with. We as Black women are dealing with the same thing, because Western ways is telling us to shake our booty for $1, right? So these same Western ways is not just impacting you. Y'all do what we basically ask you to do. Personally, I think the Black man is a representation of the Black woman right now. And we need to get our life together. We need to get our essence together too, in order so that you all will want to respect us. We don't respect ourselves, so how can we expect you to respect us? at the end of the day. And I understand that these conversations sometimes like to go polarized, but they're not. We have to understand when we meet our sisters and brothers, we share the same type of trauma. The same trauma. If I'm in the car with you and we riding down the street, my brother, and you see the police, we 100% clean, you and me gonna have the same psychological and physiological response in our body. If I'm rolling around in a car with a white person and they see the police, they ain't even paid attention. The police know mine, and here I am sweating and gripping my steering wheel for no effing reason, right? So we have to understand that no one is going to share any of our experiences but each other. So when we get in relationships, they're toxic. They are toxic as all hell because we don't know how to love each other with the traumas that we each other have. And we don't sit down with one another and share those traumas together and heal through them, meditate through them, build our spirituality and consciousness with one another and accept it. I've been married for a year, been together for 5, and them first 4 years were toxic. We were fighting. We were arguing. The police were coming. But you know what? We are at a different space. But all of that happened because we had both traumas that we had to sit down and just deal with and talk through. And so I say this not in a way to promote toxic relationships, but what white people is calling toxic is what 2 Black people are trying to do. We are trying to love each other and love ourselves, and nobody in the equation has ever been loved. So what I say for us, in a sense, if you're in a relationship with a sister and a brother and it ain't what you feel like it should be, talk it through and work it out. Stop running and leaving these situations because these babies is being caught in the middle. You got to work it out. It ain't about all this, oh, you cheating and all this kind of stuff, kind of thing. Think about what y'all can do together to build, because right now, some of us need to look beyond these monogamous lifestyles and start bringing these families together for economic reasons, okay? You cannot be putting value on vagina and penis at this point. Like, we need 2 women in the house and 2 men in the house, and it ain't got nothing to do with sex. It got to do with building wealth and coming together and doing what we need to do. We need to stop thinking like these Western folk got us out here thinking family is based on whether or not love brought your ass home last night. Well, it ain't, and it might not. But you know what? Them babies is there. This community is here. And we need to love each other through our traumas. Some domestic violence, I don't support domestic violence or domestic abuse. But I have a but. It happens because of this trauma that we have with one another, and we sit here and shun people and all this stuff for what they doing or why won't loving that man despite of a lot of things. And I'm not supporting domestic violence, but we got to make that conversation and change that narrative where each person needs support. We'll lock a brother up in jail for putting his hands on a woman and not even understand what that man will go through, or vice versa, people. And I'm sorry to take the floor, but this conversation about man and woman and man need to do this and women need to do this separately. No, we need to do it together. We need to love each other. We need the village to love us. We need the family to love us. I need you homeboys. Stop telling your homeboys, fuck that bitch. I need you homegirls. Stop telling your homegirls that nigga ain't shit. And I need all of y'all to stop telling y'all's kids they not gonna be nothing like they daddy or they mama. That's what I'm gonna need to happen. I'm sorry. I'm gonna step back again.
You're good. I appreciate you bringing that perspective. And, you know, I was speaking to masculinity because that's closer to my personal experience. And I know sometimes I don't want it to be received the wrong way talking about, you know, women. So I'm glad that you stepped forward and put that perspective.
Just use the pronoun we. They want to use they. We as Black people, we use we. You feel me? Use we. We need to, right? We need to make this conversation a we conversation. Everybody want to throw these pronouns out. He, she, they, ze, and them. We. Black people, call us we. When you talk to me, I'm we. When you talk to each other, you be we. Because we are we all the time. All the time. Forget she and her. We. I'm we. I'm me and the ancestors and the creator. Sorry again, Jalen.
No, you're good. Thank you. Thank you. But you brought up a couple things that I did want to touch on, which was finding purpose within relationships. I found a lot of relationships that I see amongst people my age don't really have any greater purpose around it. It's not really to support anything in the community. You know, it's mostly out of probably a false sense of love. And, you know, people get together and they just chill together when we should be really trying to build nations together. And that's something I see amongst people my age. And then you also mentioned traumas. And there's a certain heaviness that Black people walk with on a daily basis, and we don't know how to express or transmute these feelings and these traumas into something that can really help us. So I think that heaviness, and I'm gonna speak. I know you just said we, but I'm gonna speak again about masculinity, because I wrote a paper about Black masculinity, and I related this book called Heavy by Keith Layman to Black Skin White Mass by Frantz Fanon. And from that, I kind of just got this deduction that we walk around with this heaviness, all this baggage and this emotion. And as Black men, we've taught to be this westernized white version of a man. And through that, we don't express ourselves. We don't work through those feelings, and we we oftentimes take that out on the Black woman, whether that be through aggression, neglect, sexualization, objectification. And these are just some of the traumas that I think we have to work through as a collective, because it's on both sides, like you're saying, Dr. Evandra, and that can bring us closer together as a community.
Thank you, brother. I'd like to close with a topic. Not so much a topic, but yeah, it's a topic. It's looking at what we can and should be doing now. This stimulus package has got a lot in it. We should not throw out the baby with the bathwater. There is something here for us to study, and we live in a political world. We can't avoid the politics of what's going on, whether you're a Democratic or Republic. I mean, you got to take a part. I mean, you don't have to take a part. You can just, let it all blow by. But we have to take advantage of the opportunities that come our way. And in this stimulus package, there is, I think, $200 a month for every child in the family. This is for Black and white. But with $200 a month, you can, per child, you can save that and have a down payment on a house. With $200 a month as a people, we can open a bank. Literally, we can open a bank. This resource, if we pool it, if we understand what is really in our hands, then we can take advantage of it and benefit the race. There's a lot here for us to work with. And so I suggest that we think of all the things we can do in our family and as our people, and not run out to the store and get a flat screen or save to get the car, even though, you need a car. But I mean, you don't have to get a new one, you can get a used one. I mean, you can get what you want to get. But I think that you should think through how best to use this money on an individual and a collective basis. And I know you're going to use it. We all going to use it. I'm going to use mine because it's not reparations, but shit is better than what we have had before. Last time we got a boost like this was when, what's his name, passed the Civil Rights Bill and all that. What was the president's name? Came right after Kennedy. Kennedy was killed and he took over. But he brought about, I went to school on it, open admission and just a lot of things, but we took advantage of it, and we need to take advantage of the stimulus package. So it's been a good program. I'm not going to keep you any longer. I'm going to let you go, but I certainly look forward to us having part 2 where we can get more deeper into ways that we can empower ourselves. And even by that time, I'm actually to think about all the things that we can do with the monies that is coming our way that that we didn't know was coming until now. So how do we best take care of it? So I want to thank everybody. Looking forward to talking with you again. Really want to thank you again. Peace. I want to thank the real engineer who set all and who's with us today. So again, thank you.
I
And
have a question.
huh?
A question. Is there a link? Is there a link that you can post in the chat or something to give us some tangible information about this stimulus check? So when we do our research based on what it is you're speaking of about this money and this, that, and the other, I need a link.
I'm not sure about that. I can try to look for it, and the rail can post it. But they talking about this on television all the time because this, more white folk would get this than black folk. So this is a real boost for them because you got more white folk. I mean, and actually, right now they having more babies than we are. Yeah, I don't see too many pregnant black women. I wish I did. I wish all y'all get pregnant because we need the warriors. We need the people. We need to take over states. We need governors. I mean, we can do it. We're gonna have to fight from the top to the bottom, but we can.
We can't have no babies until they get rid of child support.
Explain yourself.
That's another conversation for another day. But
Okay.
Yes,
no
and
babies,
abortion clinics out of our communities.
put these men on child support. These men can't pay child support. These men end up in jail. That's a terrible pipeline that we never talk about. But there is a large percent of brothers in jail right now because they can't pay child support. And the only reason they own
yes, I
child
agree
support
with you.
is probably for some bitter stuff. Okay?
Yes.
So what I'm saying, we don't need chicks getting pregnant without something being done to this child support law right now, because it's a lot of men out here getting effed up by this child support situation. And we do need the babies, but we need to do better with that. That's an economic hole in the black community, child support. I understand some scenarios it's needed, but to lock a man up and take away his freedom because he can't financially provide, but he can provide love and stability and support and fatherhood. But because he cannot financially provide, this man lose his freedom? No, chicks, I don't need no females having no babies. I'm sorry. If they out here putting men on child support like that, I can't do it. Not here. Not in America. Not when they want my black man. Forget that. We're going to have to find a way as a community to take care of these kids. We can't be using this child support system with these babies. Chicks out here hitting up WIC, TANF, SNAP, and child support. And got bundles and these fake Gucci bags, and my brother sitting in jail? No, close them legs. Nope. In Africa and in the Caribbean, y'all produce on, but black Americans, these chicks need to close them up, because every time this stimulus come out, it's embarrassing. They got memes, 4 kids, and the amount of each kid across the top. All they see these kids is as $1. Take that freaking money and buy a bonds or a savings account. How about you post a bank sign or a bank account or something? An entrepreneurship. Get them an LLC with this $1,500. I cannot deal with these chicks having babies in America. No, sir. Cut it out.
Well, a lot of what you're saying, I'm saying. That's why we need another program to talk about it. But we definitely need to talk about this. And you definitely do not need to blow the stimulus that's out here, the money that's being put out here, because it's being put out here and you can use it or not use it. Let's use everything in our grasp to support, to make stronger, and to move us forward as people. Not that I disagree with what you're saying. I do agree with what you're saying, absolutely. But I'm saying, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Use our mind. We're more intelligent. We know how to separate, or we should be learning how to separate. and let's talk about it so we can see the way forward more clearly. And with minds like yours and like everybody else who have made these contributions this morning, we can utilize our intellect to bypass some of the pit holes that have always been thrown our way. We we got to have strength. We got to have control, and we've got to come together and do the things that you are talking about, Evangel. I agree with you, um, but we can do it because we can't let just any little fucking thing stop us. I'm sorry for that, but I mean,
I apologize because I've been trying holding them back all show. Every one of them I've been eating. I've been wanting to just fly them out there.
yeah, we can do it.
We can do it, but we got a lot of way. We got a long way to go. When we got a lot of things to talk about, we got a long way to go. A lot of things to talk about. I can't keep living over here like this in this U.S. with the way that we acting with one another. We can't do this. We got to do better. I'm ready to repatriate. Like if I had to do it tomorrow, I would. I don't need nothing in Africa because everything that the ancestors need me to have is there. So my roof has got to be there somewhere. You know, my shelter, my cover, my food, it's got to be there. My spirituality, it's got to be there. You feel me? So I just need to get there. And whatever resource I need to live as the ancestors want me to live, it will be there. I can't do that even in the U.S. right now with a PhD. That's a problem.
My sister, I'm in 32 different countries in Africa. I love Africa. And I love nothing but going there and staying with the people, living with the people and among the people. And all of that is open for us to do. And that's a part of what we have to do. We can't be free, and Africa is under the control of Europeans the way it is. Africa needs us, and we need Africa. And we've got to work together to build these relationships. They won't come out of the blue. I mean, we look at the politics of things, but we need to have Black folks as the ambassadors to Africa. We need to be a part of everything that's going on in Africa, and we need to be investing in Africa and building and manufacturing and everything. Of course, Africa is being built, but it's being built by other people. It's being built by the Chinese. It's being built by everybody except us. And Africa is reaching out and calling for African Americans to bring their skills and their finances to help build Africa. There's an open door. Somebody's going to do it. Either we're going to do it, or the Chinaman going to do it, or somebody else is going to do it. But we have to. These are things we have to be involved in on every level, and everything involves politics because politics determines who get what, when, and how. And so we just got to do it. And we can do it. So I want to thank everybody, and I especially want to thank you, Evangel, for speaking your mind and being passionate about it. I love it. Thank you. All right, Darrell.
Thank you to the panel for allowing me to jump in like that, y'all. I'm so sorry if I stole the floor. I apologize, truly.
Do not apologize. I appreciate you doing that. I had to create space for you to do that, so you can be the leader in which you are.
Thank you.
Darrell, are you with us?